Hello, this is High Templar with my new Total War Warhammer DLC analysis video, and today we'll be reviewing the quest battle for Skarsnik. So, firstly, there was a stream today, and I've spent few hours analyzing it, reviewing, making some screenshots for you to catch all the details that you needed. That was quite a long stream and revealed much information, so we know all the stats for all the units and all the Regiments of Renown, and we actually know some more. But let's just go back to the details here, and starting with Skarsnik himself. So the fun fact that was revealed right now is the Skarsnik and the Goba, who is this little fellow right here, will be actually in a single unit, both of them, and they will share the same health, so they die together basically. And as you can see, they only have 50 armor, but they do have decent leadership, melee attack and melee defense with the poison, and they also have fantastic charge bonus of 52 with the weapon strength that is both armor piercing and RT large. So that is quite interesting. Also, yeah, the weapon that's being used by Skarsnik is actually kind of a halberd, so that's why the armor piercing and RT large. And they have quite a decent health actually, more probably because there is two of them. So yeah, those guys are looking pretty good indeed. And they also have ability called Tricky Traps, which you can see here, which is actually array augment. It affects allies but in range of 60 meters, so this is a very large area. Most of other spells would work in the area of 45 meters, and this is boosting leadership, speed and the charge bonus of your units, which is very important when leading the Goblin army, because that leadership would be very useful. So let's just see. Yeah, and those guys looks absolutely amazing. Just look at them. I mean, the models, the textures. I'm sold, basically. Then let's look into some more interesting stuff. We have the Skulkers, and the Skulkers, we can see the stats already here. We have low armor, very low leadership, but decent speed, melee attack. Defense is hidden here, but it was, I believe, quite low, like 17. And then we have weapon strength 24 with armor piercing, charge bonus of 20. But they have Hex, which is actually, they can surround themselves. It affects only allies in range of 30 meters, and their speed and charge speed is reduced. So this is pretty much very bad against any cav units. If they get into this area, they cannot charge very well, and that's absolutely amazing. And there is 160 of those guys, but their leadership, I mean, right now it is lowered. You will see them later on. It's slightly higher but than 35, I believe it's 45 or similar, but it's still very low. Still, this is a very decent unit that will deal damage, army piercing damage. There is 160 of them, and if they charge, they should make quite a mess. Yeah, and those guys looks like that. You can see, like I said, the melee defense was actually 16, not 17, but I remember that correctly. Nasty Skulkers. They look like that. Pretty interesting unit indeed, taking into account that they have 7200 health, 160 guys, and like I said, very decent attack and charge bonus for such a cheap unit, and armor piercing. Then we have a very interesting change for all the Fanatics. That is actually something, I mean, just amazing. So basically those guys will not throw their Fanatics in front with the ball on the chain, but you have spinning looms, and that is ability that you can use 3 times with the cooldown of 90 seconds. right? And this is, like I said, this is vortex spell, so this will be doing armor piercing damage, but those guys are running well wherever they really want. You can more or less point them into the right direction, but they are not going exactly where you want them. So yeah, that is actually amazing. Those I will start to use Fanatics, because right now they are very good. Before I was a bit afraid of using them because my micro is a bit off. Right now they will be amazing. Just for 50 more such amazing ability, I'm sold again. Then we have Squig Hoppers, and I've already made a review of Squig Hoppers, but I'm making this for the completeness. And 31 armor piercing damage with bonus versus infantry, decent armor, but only 40 of them. There is only 40 of them. Low defense, decent attack, and very high charge bonus, so you should be charging them, right? And those also have vanguard deployment, which is very important, and they look amazing. And then we have Night Goblin Squig Hoppers with the decent leadership. I believe it's 55, very low armor, very high speed, melee attack and defense. Just basic, but they do poison damage. The weapon strength is 27, but they do bonus versus infantry and the charge bonus of 30. That makes them amazing cav, and you will see amazing light cav, and you will see people talking bad things about them during. They would say that they are just very bad on the stream. Don't believe that. You can watch that stream on the Twitch. It lasts for 2 hours. This is just compressed version, much compressed version. But yeah, those guys will actually do amazing, and I have a proof of that. We will see that later. So yeah, very nice light cav units, very fast. Just take it. And then we have a battle that those guys have fought against dwarves. And as you can see, the Squig Hoppers did amazing damage of 176 and 76. So that is massive, but also those light cav unit is actually more damage than one of those big guns, right? So yeah, against infantry, those guys will do very well indeed. The Skulkers, however, did very poorly, probably because they were not used correctly, and they might be tricky to use because they are not. Their performance seemed to be steadily not so good. And this is another, actually I wanted to just show you the screenshot of this quest battle map, quest battle environment, I guess, which will be the showdown between the Belagar and Skarsnik, or so we were told in the stream, but it looks quite amazing indeed. And this is another battle that was also fought against the Belagar, as you can see, and again you can see that somewhat sketchy damage, somewhat sketchy results on the Skulkers. And then we have Hoppers, which are doing 126 and 98 damage. So pretty much the same as our Ragnarok, although I'm pretty sure our Ragnarok was not was used maybe to soak up damage or something like that. Either way, you can see those guys do amazing if they are used correctly, and if they are used against infantry, they are just fantastic. With that, with the 30 charge bonus, and if you go put them in the back of your enemy, that would be very bad indeed. Just watch out for low armor. So yeah, then we have custom battle screen that we can see the prices basically that we will have on our lords and other units that we will be able to use. And as you can see from here, we have Vurzak here, which actually costs a lot more than Azag. And we also have Night Goblin Warboss right here, which costs which would be a very interesting choice because it makes him the cheapest general that we can get, maybe except for a Goblin Night Boss, a Great Goblin Shaman without spells. But yeah, interesting choice for general if you want to use a decent melee hero for a low price, so you don't have to put him in dangerous situations. So as you can see, there are no changes to the prices of the units for the Greenskins, which is very different from what we get for Chaos. For the Chaos we will get quite some balancing, and I will talk about that later on, but yeah. And we can also see the prices for the new Regiments of Renown units, and just keep them in mind. You will see the stats very shortly, but you can see those Night Goblins, which is the special Night Goblins unit, costing 550 and 600 for the Fanatics, which are actually pretty awesome, 150 more each, and those Black Orcs costing 300 more, which might not be actually worth it. We will review that later on. Then we have archer units with the elite archers costing only 100 more and doing thunder armor damage, which is amazing. They won't be doing any more poison damage, but they will be doing thunder armor damage, and they would do a lot of this damage. They can be used both for the supporting units against armored units like poison was used, but they can also be used to single out any enemy units, because it will decrease their armor by 25 or 30 I believe, which will make their archers armor 0. Then we have new units that those Squig Hoppers I've mentioned before, only 650 cost, which is very, very low cost. They are more expensive, but they are more expensive than, for example, Forest Riders. And if you want, you can take the Forest Riders, but I do believe there will be much use for those guys because of their speeds. You might want to take 2 units of Goblin Wolf Riders, but Squig Hoppers might be just similar choice. You've seen how well they performed in the battle. And for the Regiments of Renown, we have here 500 worth of Goblin Wolf Riders with the Fear ability and the special Squig Hoppers costing just 100 more, and those Biguns, which are actually amazing. We will see them later on in details, but they have very high armor and they do encourage increased leadership of every unit around, so you should always take them, basically, like always. Am I missing? No. And then we have some costs of Regiments of Renown in archer units, so you can review those. The new Arachnarok Spider, I will talk about her actually in details very soon. She actually spawns more units of spiders, and you have to basically test if it's even worth it, but she seems to be like a solid unit, but obviously very expensive. And finally, Regiments of Renown Lobber, which is also something you might want to take. Mind you, I have not really focused on those archer units because I can't really say good or bad things about them because I haven't tested them. This guy seems to be really pricey, except for the chariot, which is only like 20% more in cost, so 25. Okay, so but still that might be a decent pick. Those guys have to be tested, and I will be doing extensive testing on the very first day. On the very first day, in the evening, you can be sure that there will be my testing videos already in my channel about those guys, about all of those guys actually. Then we have interesting details about our Night Goblin Warboss, who has Spirit of the Bad Moon ability that is actually giving him for 17 seconds a very high defense against missiles basically, which is, and also expert charge defense, which is also very nice indeed. And you can use those abilities to the fullest, and as you can see, 400 weapon strength, which is fine. Very low armor unfortunately, but he is doing poison, so yeah, he might be useful. We might have to test this guy out, but yeah, his armor seemed to be on the low side, and so his HP. But if we can get a healing potion on this guy, he might be worth it. We will have to see. The poison damage seems to be very cool if you are battling another lord. Then let's just jump into the Regiments of Renown for the Greenskins. Let's start with the Warlord boys, which cost 150 more, like I mentioned before. Their stats is +10, +10 and +9. They do have armor sundering ability, so they will decrease armor of the enemy units, so that is very nice indeed. So for prolonged for 10 seconds those guys will bring down the armor of the enemy unit, so they will be very effective against mid armor units. Low armor units, mid armor units will be absolutely devastated by those guys, but still decent leadership for those guys, so that's something you got to give them. But they are not interesting as this unit, which you probably should take right now, because the 8-pick Loonies Goblin Fanatics have actually special range weapon. They are doing poison attacks. They do release Loonies on the on demand right now, but they have 100 leadership. That means they don't break. And also they are doing melee poison damage. They have decent melee attack and defense. They have decent weapon strength. They are doing this loony stuff, and this loony stuff is actually a special range unit, because this is actually dwarf on a chain, so it will be doing some additional damage, I do believe morale damage. So very interesting choice for multiplayer and for the campaign. Then we have Crimson Killers, and this is something I wanted to show you to compare those units. Those guys cost 300 more, but they do have less health because there is only 60 of them. They have more leadership and more melee attack, but not defense. They don't deal more damage. They are told to be anti-infantry, so it will be very interesting because they are told to do area of effect damage and they are more spread. That might mean they are absolutely amazing, because like your lords are doing area of effect. If those guys start spinning and do this 42 area of effect damage with the melee attack of 44, that might be quite amazing indeed. And those guys, if they flank, if they don't get focused, might be just the MVPs of the match. However, if this is not working as basically if it's not working as advertised, those guys might be just most overpriced Black Orcs units in the history. Then we have the Rusty Arrows, which I've mentioned before, is reducing for 10 seconds armor by 32, and if you focus the unit, those arrows will be fired every 9 and some seconds, so this thunder armor will stay on the unit, and that is, like I said, very useful when firing for the support of the units, but also if you want to take out enemy archers or crossbowmen or any other unit that do have like 20 or 30 armor. Obviously not very good against savage orcs. Then we have Mine Howlers, which I've mentioned before, might be excellent choice because they cause fear, and they actually have decent stats. For 500 I would get them in multiplayer. low armor and everything, but their price is low, they are very fast, they do hit a lot harder than the normal ones, and they does fear. And they have more leadership, so they won't run as quickly. Durkid Squigs, Night Goblin Squig Hoppers specials, they do have scaly skin and minus 25% damage from missiles, which is okay-ish. I would expect something cooler, but Squigs are cool in itself. So then we have those guys, I did mention them before. Those guys have 90 armor, so 35 more. They have more leadership, melee attack and melee defense, and they do have encourage ability. So awesome, do take them, they are very cool. This increased armor will make them much more effective because there is not many cav units with armor piercing damage, pretty much only Orc Boys does them. So they might be able to take out very heavy infantry units without cav units without much of a problem, and those guys will take much more beating because of this armor. Very interesting unit, we should look at them carefully. Those guys, they do have armor piercing missiles, but they do cost a lot more than normal Wolf Riders by 250 with the 16 missile damage and 80 men. Those guys might not be worth it. Obviously there is utility to every unit, and in some situation if you can get there on the back of the unit, they can pay for themselves with basically and then some, but it would be hard to use them, for me at least. So yeah. Then we have those guys, they do have regeneration. Those guys are Forest Goblin Spider Rider Archers, but with regeneration, and in my opinion they won't be really worth it. It's 200 more, they do have better stats, but this is mostly melee attack and defense, and you don't really want to get those guys into the fight. You just want to you want them to shoot, and only after they spent all their ammo to charge them. So I'm not sure if this will be as useful as the dev thinks. I don't think that will be 200 more worth. Then we have Thief Robbers, which is Goblin Wolf Chariot, and yeah, those guys are, I believe those guys are causing fear or are immune to psychology, one of the two. So they might be useful. Then we have Arachnarok Spider, which, like I mentioned before, they have maternal instinct. So this is basically your standard Arachnarok with additional leadership, melee and attack of plus 10 to plus 12, I believe, to all of those stats. But what is most important, that she costs 400 more, and yeah, she can spawn, if your army is not full, she can spawn some hatchling, which are basically spiders, forest spiders, which you've seen under the goblin big bosses or under the spider riders, but those guys will be without any riders. It might be very good unit with additional melee attack, defense and leadership, because leadership on those Arachnoros are low, and with those spiders that might be very useful indeed, but you can use it only once. Yeah, so this is a comparison as I mentioned before, and yeah, they are doing poison damage, so that unit might just be worth it, even though the price is absolutely staggering. Then we have Hammer of Gork, Goblin Rock Lobber, costing 200 more, but that might be just a single best unit of artillery, because they are blinding the unit that are firing at. Unfortunately, only for 10 seconds. I believe the reload time on those guys are much higher, but they will reduce your melee defense, attack and accuracy. So in some cases this accuracy will be very powerful indeed, for example when firing into the cannons. However, if you will fire at, say, crossbowmen, and you will be surprised why the crossbowmen are still hitting your unit of archers, well, because that's not how accuracy works. Accuracy does work when you want to target like a single monster or that is far away or something like that. When you are firing in the large unit, it's really hard to miss, and even if you do miss, you might miss the guy beside him, so yeah. But if firing into melee, you need to be very careful because those guys might be blinding your own units, I believe. You must to check that out because the morale works also for your units, so this blinding effect might also work for your units, and that would be quite disastrous. Then we have, if you want to take Skarsnik, which you can see here in the Lords, and those guys actually took Crooked Moon, you have 3 more factions in multiplayer. You have the Clan for the Belegar, and you have Crooked Moon, and you have Bloody Hands. They are available in the multiplayer, but no other new factions are available in multiplayer. But yes, Skarsnik Prodder is actually cost 200 and is actually a magic missile. Quite powerful explosion and shoots shrapnels on impact, so I believe this will be very effective against armor, and strong versus multiple combatants but weak versus multiple units. What does it mean? That means you should not target it between 2 units, you should target it at a unit, basically. It costs 200, whether this magic missile that you can cast every 2 minutes and 50 seconds is worth 200, that remains to be seen, but it just might be. This is the comparison between those guys are playing as Crooked Moon, so you can see that those Black Orcs. Sorry for the quality. You can watch it in higher quality on the stream. I tried to make screenshots, but they weren't working very well. Either way, these are the Black Orcs for the Crooked Moon, those the blue ones, and the red ones is actually those Regiments of Renown Black Orcs with two-handed axes in each hand. Again, we have those loons with ability. Oh, this is something I wanted to show you. So Loon of 8 Peaks, this is actually a dwarf on a chain, right? So instead of ball on chain, this is dwarf on a chain, and this is obviously causing armor piercing, missiles, small moving area, and strong versus multiple opponents. It doesn't seem to be causing additional moral effect, which is just, it's cool that they look right like that, and I will take them because I do really want to see the dwarf spinning on a chain. But yeah, whether they are worth it remains to be seen. So we have some, so those guys will be the Regiments of Renown Wolf Warriors, and then we have Squig Hoppers. Not much of a variety here, and then we have those Biguns that I showed you before with heavy armor and courage ability. One of the few units that actually are orange. So yeah, Death Creepers, Foreign Goblins, Spider Riders, Archers. Also very cool coloring actually. Very nice indeed. And then we have Goblin Chariot, as I mentioned before. They should be used for both firing but also charging, because there is also only 16 bows on those chariots basically, and they do only 39 damage each. So that's not yeah, you know, big basically. This is the Broodmother before spawning anything, and these are the Fist of Gorg, I believe they are called those, yeah, Hammer of Gorg, those Goblin rock lobbers. Finally, what I wanted to tell you basically is something that you've probably missed from the previous stream that was done on the Wurzak, and if you were on the stream you could see the price changes, the balancing for the chaos. I don't have any screenshots because I haven't made them during the stream and they were cut off after, so you cannot go to them right now, unfortunately. But you can see that those guys are balancing the chaos, going those chaos sorcerer lords gone 100 down and the chaos lord 50 down, chaos warriors 25 down to 750, chosen with calabars and great weapons 50 down, new aspiring champions as you see. Then we have Murderous Horsemen, both 100 down, which is very nice indeed because we might actually start using them. New Murderous Horsemaster for 650. I'm definitely going to check them out in a battle. They might be very, very powerful. And then Poison Chaos Warhounds quite down, and Poison ones down by 25. So there is, I do agree with this balancing, except for the Chaos Warriors and Chosen, which should not be getting less expensive but more powerful. I mean, these are the Chaos Warriors and the Chosen. In the tabletop they are one of the most expensive units, and they should be like that in the Warhammer universe, in the Total War Warhammer. They are Chaos Warriors, they are people that are fused with their armors and imbued with magic to wreak destruction on the land full of mutations and stuff. They should not be so weak. They should be costing, like before, 800 for example, but be more powerful, and the same for Chosen basically. Yeah, that is pretty much it. I hope you like it. If you did, press like, comment if you will, and see my other videos. I will be doing more of analysis videos. So yeah, check that out, and also my DLC speculation videos, my mechanics videos of the Total War series, and my Let's Plays for Total War series and other games. Thank you for watching, and see you later.